Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Oh, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Man, I am jacked up for today's show. I am so excited about today's show for so many reasons. There's, so much chatter going on the X machine about the Rays and where they're headed and what their philosophy is and all that great stuff. So I said, you know what? Now's a great time to call up the great Joe Maddon, longtime friend, Rays manager, one of my favorite people on this freaking planet. Even Tally's excited. She's getting her in her spot right now. You ready? Yeah. Look, she's ready. She said, Joe Maddon. Yeah, I gotta be here for the Joe Maddon interview. So taped an interview with Joe yesterday, and it's just it's a really fun listen. We'll get into the Rays fire sale, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk some Buccaneers football. Tristan Wirfs spoke yesterday. Servassier Dennis spoke. Todd Bowles. We get into all that stuff. Lots of Rays. I'm going to be going Olympics today as well. Got a lot of stuff on the Olympics. So Tim Ham, good morning to you. You anti-Olympic, non-American communist that you are. Oh, wait, that's
the other side, JP.
Sorry.
I mean, yes, you're right about the Olympics. I can't even tell you. I might rather watch soccer than the Olympics right now, to be
I was
quite
just
honest.
watching women's sevens rugby. Have you seen these women play rugby?
No.
Bro, I'm telling you.
Although that interests me more than what they're showing everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Go watch women's rugby. I think it's fascinating. These girls are free. They're athletic. They are super fast. They are, and they will truck your ass. They will truck your ass. I was watching this New Zealand girl, and then we have Alona Marr, the USA Rugby, and she just is trucking people. And it's fun to watch. It really is fun. They play a physical brand of rugby. I love the game of rugby personally. So anyway,
we have a local team here in Dallas, the Jackals.
Yeah, the Tampa team, we've had them on before. What just won a national championship, the women's rugby team. So we got. I've been promising my good friend Christian Unnes to get them on. He's one of the organizers over there in Tampa Rugby. So we got to get them on. It's great rugby presence here in Tampa Bay. So that was good. And last night the men's pommel horse, the men's all around. The United States broke a 16-year drought of not getting a medal. And this was really cool.
That's really gymnastics, cool. Right?
Yeah. So this dude, Jack Nedarozic, he only does the pommel horse. The only reason he's on the team is the pommel horse. And you know what that is, right? With the two handles, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. They go round and round and round. The stuff these dudes do on
Kurt
the ring
Thomas.
Yes. Just unbelievable. I mean, it's pretty incredible stuff to watch. So this dude just sits there all day while the other guys are flipping and tumbling and ringing and high barring and he just all day bringing them water, blah, 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 blah. He's just waiting for his one moment. He gets one thing, and he's the last guy on the rotation on the pommel horse. And this is pretty cool. So think about this. You prepare 4 years, or actually your entire life. He tried to be an all-around gymnast. He just couldn't cut it, but he was really good at the pommel horse. So they're like, all right, you're a pommel horse guy. Okay, we're going to call on you in the all-around. We're going to need one good score from you. That's all you got to do. So they do all this, the whole team, and it comes down to that. It's razor thin. If they're on to get on the podium, this dude has to hit his routine. I mean, can you imagine the pressure?
Wow.
That's a lot. You're like, wow, who cares?
No. I mean, I meant that genuinely. Like, wow, that's.
And I'm wearing my Jack Nedarozic glasses because this is like he wears glasses just like this. These will be all their age now, and he just like. It's his turn. He gets up there, takes off his glasses,
creating more drama,
takes off his shirt, gets up on the pommel horse, and he's doing his last little, whatever they call it, the walkover to the dismount. And he like halfway through the move, he like knows he's going to nail it. So he takes this big smile on his face, boom, nails the dismount. They win a bronze and they all go bananas. And that was a cool Olympic moment. I mean,
wow,
it's
cool.
It's the people who you never hear of, and they've been working their entire lives for this one freaking moment. and to nail it in that moment. That's
That is pretty cool.
It is. And then you're just nobody's ever going to hear from you again. No, but you have
He might be on a Wheaties box.
Yeah, you got to. So you have a bronze medal for the rest of your life, and you'll do speaking engagements and do all that. And people will remember that Olympic moment. That was a great Olympic moment. And for those great stories, there's a lot of good stories in these Olympics, by the way. It's once you get past this.
Sure, I get it. I get
the
it.
opening ceremonies, which pissed me off because why you got to do that? Why you got to do that? Like, we're just here to watch freaking sports, man. It's once every 4 years. Oh, but that was the celebration of Bacchus. This had nothing to do. Shut up. Shut up. You knew exactly what you were doing. You knew exactly what you were doing. You were putting it in our face, mocking Christianity. We knew exactly what you're doing. Oh, no, we weren't doing. Shut up. Shut up. But why you got to do that? Why you got to ruin, like, people that go out of their, like Brittany Griner, why you got to do that? Why you got to keep Caitlin, like all this stupid stuff that you did, that you just have to do to piss people off, to make your insecure selves feel like we're doing something, we're in control. Good for you. Good for you. All right, whatever. But can we just have some sport? Can we just have some sport without all the nonsense? For God's sakes.
You know, when this started going downhill for me, at least, and I used to be the biggest Olympics watcher, in the 70s and 80s and even into the early 90s. I was all about the Olympics every freaking before they even split it, right, to 2 and 2, when they would have the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics in the same year, right, when it was legit every 4 years.
Right.
I was all about it, man, but it changed just like everything else with a certain generation of athlete. When it became more about, instead of, back when we were kids watching at JP, these guys made sacrifices their entire life to be in the Olympics to represent their country.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to represent their country.
Yep.
That was an honor. That was the goal. That's what the story was. But now with a certain generation of athlete, even amateur athlete, it became about, what am I going to get out of this? How can I promote myself on this stage? Not about, man, I'm doing this for my country.
Well, all athletics has become that.
Right, that's what I mean. It's across the board, but it's affected the Olympics for sure.
Yeah, it'd be a fascinating topic just to trace that back. When did that first start? Like, who was the guy that first started promoting themselves more than the team? In team sports. Like, who was that guy? I mean, off the top of my head, I couldn't even really. Was it Michael Jordan? Was it all about Michael Jordan? I never got that feeling. I always thought he was a team guy,
Right. I think the team promoted him more than he promoted himself in the league.
The NBA promoted him. So I would put him in that category.
Right.
He was just the biggest superstar. And as an individual that I can really remember, Joe Namath was kind of that, again, forced upon him more than him, beating his chest, saying it's about me. But we'll get to that another time.
Yeah.
But this is, to me, has been really good. The U.S. men's gymnastics team last night was a really, really cool moment. And already Simone Biles, now at noon today, is the women's all-around final. So the USA team will, and Simone Biles and that group will go after it again. That'll be funny. John Hill says Bruce Jenner on the Wheaties box. Yeah. Did you misidentify him? Her?
Well, that's who he was when he was on the Wheaties box.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you my Bruce Jenner, Caitlin story?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you.
Can't wait for this.
No, we got to get to Joe Maddon.
We do.
But
by the way, that's a 22-minute interview, so you guys buckle up.
Yeah. And it's interesting because these are kind of Joe Maddon glasses, too, now that I think
They are.
Got the theme going, baby.
Spencer Tracy.
Yeah, so we're going to get into a lot of this baseball stuff, and Bucks fans, we got plenty for you coming up. Scott Reynolds going to join us at 10:30, so we'll chat with him all things Buccaneers. So let's get to the Joe Maddon interview, which we delve into a couple of those things as well. So here it is, a wonderful, sparkly 22 minutes with the great Joe Maddon.
So pleased to welcome in the man that took the Rays to the 2008 World Series and gave us so many good moments of Rays baseball. The great Joe Maddon joining us here, and of course, the man who broke the curse of the Cubs, a World Series champion. How are you, Joe? Great to see you. JP, I'm doing wonderfully. I'm in Pennsylvania. Got this really cool home in a valley, and I'm loving every day of it. The tomato plants are starting to turn red, and that makes it even better. How much better is the sauce with fresh tomatoes? Always. Everything's better with fresh anything. I got got the parsley there. I got some potatoes, sweet potatoes, some nayu berries, all kinds of stuff. It's my first attempt. I just built a greenhouse as an addition to the place, so I'm checking it all out this year. Beautiful. Yeah. Well, I've always used the canned tomatoes for the sauce. Roxy D'Amelia, my mom taught me that, the nice canned peeled tomatoes. Yeah. Put them in the blender to start with your base. We won't go through the whole sauce recipe, but the fresh tomatoes is something I want to try too. So we'll definitely do that. Same page. Yeah. All right. Hey, well, first and foremost, Joe, there's a little fire sale going on in Tampa Bay right now. I know. Six players, including Randy Rosarena, Jason Adam, Itzhak Paredes to your Cubs, Zach Eflin, Aaron Savali, Phil Maton. I know you've been through this song and dance here in Tampa Bay, and the fans are going bananas. So maybe a kind word to explain to the fans what exactly is happening here. First of all, when you look at all those names collectively like that, it's pretty good. I mean, those are good players. That's a really nice chunk of good. While I was there, I can't remember that much of a mass exodus. I don't remember that. I remember, David left, James left, Shieldsy, and I think Garza left at different points, but it was never like this glut. So I never had to really absorb all of that. I mean, it's just the way of the world there right now, and it's not just there, but it's every team that has that opportunity to cut costs and build a talent base. They're going to do it this time of the year. It just seems like it's part of the fabric. I sometimes I don't quite understand why you don't keep players like that and augment. It really comes down to how your perception of things are or is. And I think for them, for sure, they thought, yeah, we have a chance to get to the playoffs this year, but their inner conversation was probably to the point where even if we do, we're not going to advance too deeply. And why not take advantage of this moment? So as the fan base down there, you're used to it by now. It's nothing new. And it's happened before, and it's always turned out well. So just fasten your seatbelts and know that it's going to be okay. But the Paredes deal, I thought there's a good young player, hit 30 bombs last year, can play first base. I know they want to open up a spot for Caminero, but Paredes, I thought that was a strange one for me. But they get Christopher Morel back from the Cubs, who hit 26 last year, 18 already this year. That's a piece, at least a major league piece, that the fans can say, okay, this guy's got a chance to be a great player. He does. I mean, he's a great body, live body kind of a guy. Watching a little bit, he's a big swinger, which they all are these days, right? Everything's evaluated based on the number of home runs you hit. And I know how that plays in the slug and OPS, et cetera. But that's all you hear. I don't really know how good they are on defense. I don't know how good of base runners they are. I do have no idea about their instincts for the game. I mean, these are the kind of questions we would always ask in meetings when you're talking about upgrading or acquisition. It went beyond power. It's always about power. And when you talk about pitchers, it's always about how hard they throw and velocity and things of that nature. So listen, of course they're strong and they're young and they probably are going to hit a lot of home runs. And that's just the way the game's played right now. You got to put the ball in the seats. Although occasionally a team will show the ability to move the ball, create runs and whatever, and all of a sudden that becomes like very popular discussion for the day. So it's whatever you want, but that's how guys are evaluated, and that's how guys are paid. You're compensated for homers, and that's what they try to do. Are you? Well, I read your book, so I know you're saddened by this. All those things that you mentioned earlier were the way I grew up playing baseball. With the prototypical leadoff hitters, you don't even see that anymore. It's not a good way for me. I just don't like baseball that way. I know you would agree with that. Yeah, it's just a different game, and you're supposed to accept that because people say it's different. It's a different game. They talk about progress and using those kind of words. And I don't know. For me, progress is not always a positive. Being progressive is not always a positive word. What does it mean? It just means somebody had a different thought. They implemented it. And because it's new, they think it's a progressive thought, not necessarily understanding whether or not it's making something better. And I was talking to somebody about this just yesterday. Our game It's obviously was different in 1970, 1990, 2010 than it was in 18, whatever. Of course it was. But nevertheless, it was still a traditionally based game with some really strong tenets attached to it that was attractive. That was very attractive. And there was a kind of this traditional component to it that is absolutely being torn apart right now. It doesn't have that traditional feel. Now, there's great athletes in the game. No question, no argument whatsoever. And I love that part of it. It's just the way the game's being taught or not taught, and what's important and what's not important anymore. So if you want to remain a fan of the game, you're going to have to make adjustments because this is how the game's going to be played, to the point where it really appears as though the players are pretty much in control over everybody else, whether it's front offices or managers or coaches, whatever. So that's why what Alex Cora did yesterday, I guess it was, really stands out, because he had a conversation with the O'Neill in the dugout, who's been doing well. He's been home runs, nice player, and he's going to pitch it for him with Abreu. But he goes straight to him, tells him exactly what's going on and why, and the player accepted it. That to me is the way it should be done. It's a tough conversation. It's a tough conversation league game where you have to be able to be honest with your guys. They have to be able to accept it. May not like it, but when you tell a major league or professional player honestly what you think and then go ahead and do it, he might not like you briefly, but eventually he's going to come back to you, as opposed to you dissembling and not giving him straight up. That's what I saw in that moment.
Joe Maddon joining us here. And Joe, I could hear you were the best communicator I've ever seen in terms of, I've worked with a lot of good coaches over my days, but the way you communicated and built trust with your players, is that something that you can still do in this day and age with these players? Is it just a different give and take between the manager and the player these days? Are those things just everlasting?
I think they are. The communication is communication. I mean, I've always felt contemporary. I mean, there's certain music I still don't like it, but I never liked it. There's methods of dress that I'm wide open to. Culturally, whatever's going on today, I think I'm kind of up to date and progressive in that regard. So I think, of course, when it comes right down to it, I think it's just how open you are with whomever you're speaking with. So we're talking about a Major League Baseball player right now. I've always felt, and even back when I began, it really stood out to me that even veteran players back in the 80s and 90s that I worked with when I went to Major League camp, they wanted to hear what you had to say, because they trusted what I was saying and the fact that I was straight up with them. I don't think that ever gets old. I don't think that ever gets old. I think as a human being, whomever you're working with, you just want to know that they're giving it to you straight up. You want to know that you can trust them. And that if you went to them, I don't want a warm fuzzy. Just tell me what's going on. Tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what you think, not what you've heard. So I have to believe that never goes out of date. That should always be in vogue. And so that's for me. I mean, given an opportunity, again, that's exactly where I would come from. As open and just a wide open. Here it is. This is what I think, what I feel. Okay, now your turn. What do you think? What do you feel? And I'd be open in return. I think that's the best way to communicate.
Joe Maddon joining us here. And Joe, you mentioned it. Are you open to coming back? It would just have to be the perfect situation. I know it would have to be someone that's open to not trying to shove analytics down your throat. That would give you some leeway and some autonomy to be the manager that you are.
Yeah, you have to. If you're going to be that, be that. I mean, I think GM should GM. I think owners should own. I think managers should manage. I think coaches should coach. I think analysts should analyze. But when you start walking in other people's territory constantly, you just don't trust them. Why did you hire them in the first place? What is the job description here? What do you want me to do? If you don't feel that kind of autonomy to make decisions as a manager, then you won't think to the point, you won't analyze it, or you won't intellectualize it to the point, because it's not yours. Right. You only get to that level of intellectual thinking if you know it's your baby. You're rocking your own baby in your arms. This is very important that I make a good decision right here. I'm not to say that that's void of asking other people's opinions. Of course not. No, it's not true. I always want other people's opinions, and I want to hear what people have to say before I eventually do what I think is the right thing to do. But that's what you're paid to do. So I think it's the line's been blurred between owners owning, GMs GMing, managers managing, and coaches coaching. And the other thing with, I've talked about this before, the analysts. I love them. Listen, if I get a chance to do it again, I'm going to personally go to MIT, Harvard, Yale, Lafayette College, and I'm going to interview these guys because I want the best. But once you have these guys, understand one thing, they're going to answer to the coaches, and the coaches don't have to answer to them. I think you should create a synergy among your analysts and the coaching staff where there's a trust flowing back and forth. And when you arrive at that point on a major league level or any level, any industry, then you really got something going on. But if there's suspicion either way, it just never really galvanizes to the point where everybody feels good about it.
Joe Maddon joining us here today. We just recently had an interesting series with the Yankees where Jose Siri and Juan Soto were having a stroll off to see who could take the longest home run trot and all the histrionics that go with it these days. And then Michael Kay on the Yankees network basically said, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And I'm obviously a huge Rays fan, but I'm just like, except there is a line. For God's sakes, there's a line. I don't mind the bat flips and some of these other things. And organic emotion, and sharing that with your teammates. Everybody loves that. But some of this stuff is just gone crazy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a kind of a downgrading of deviant methods right now where which was not acceptable before is now acceptable. And this is part of the progressive way of thinking. And you keep hearing that, you want the players to have fun. And I'm all about that, as you know. Yeah. To the point where they're demonstrative in a way that really just is there to draw attention to themselves and their brand, however you want to call it. Bat flips to me are boring. I don't get it. I'm okay if I give it the walk-off home run if you want to really, okay. And if you're Dennis Eckersley and you're punching out the last hitter of the game, yeah, go ahead and do that. But all these other moments of demonstrative behavior, and it's just part of the way we function as a society anymore. True. It's become very superficial, I think. And again, it's fawned upon, and it's asked for, and it's accepted. Okay, so that's progress. That's what I'm talking about. Those are kind of progressive methods that we're supposed to accept that I don't agree with. I watched the Yankee game the other night. Last night, Chisholm, right? Jazz was there. Yeah. So they're leading 7-2, and he has a tough play at second base. He's safe. Tough ran into the guy's elbow. That's got back up. I liked it, but then he steals third base, and they're up 7-2. I think it's in the ninth inning. Yeah. And everybody goes wild. He starts gesturing into the dugout. They're all like throwing blown kisses back at him. That would have gotten you hurt. That would have actually gotten you hurt at some point. Or the guy coming up or the next pitch would have gotten you hurt. Right or wrong? I don't know. I just like that method of playing the game where there was, listen, the object of the game is to always score runs. I get that. And I'm all about that. And I had my arguments about this when I was a race manager, when sometimes people thought we stepped on these unwritten rules. However, that was accepted to the point, and everybody's like glowing upon it. And then today I'm listening to the recap, and he had one hit, which was kind of an infield hit, and he stole a base, which was they're up by 7-2, and there was nobody was holding him on, and nobody was covering third base. So this is the kind of the parts of the game right now that it just needs to be reeled in a little bit. Let's make that more real.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Maddon joining us here. Joe, if I may, can we stroll down memory lane? Sure. Back to 2007, and you see this team starting to come together, this Rays team, before you make it to the World Series. When did you know something was happening special, and what were some of the touch points that led to that magical season, and what followed all the playoff appearances after?
Well, I tell you, weirdly, this doesn't stand out, but I thought and I've said it 1,000 times, not 1,000, maybe 52 times before, when we acquired Danny Wheeler for Ty Wigginton. I love Ty Wigginton. He is such a wonderful teammate. But we traded him for Danny. I think it was to Houston, right? So Danny comes in, and not that Danny was lights out all, but he was really good. Didn't throw hard. He was a pitcher. He made pitches. But what Danny did, he taught all those bullpen guys how to work and how to prepare for the day. Because we had a lot of kids at that time that were definitely on the entitlement program, and they just loved being major league players. They loved flying on chartered airlines. They loved nice hotels, meal money. They loved all that stuff, but they didn't love winning and didn't love how to win. So Danny came in and changed the culture. So even towards the end of that season, we played actually okay for a long time, but we weren't winning games because we couldn't close them down. Danny taught that group how to do that. And when they did, we started winning games at the end of '07. So we went into '08 with some momentum there internally. And I really believe that's one of the seminal moments in the shift of the franchises is firing Danny Wheeler. And then that next off season, a couple things, new uniforms mattered, changing the name mattered. And then on top of that, Percival, Cliff Floyd, and Eric Hinsky. Wonderful acquisitions that don't happen anymore. Nobody goes and buys the experienced players anymore to augment. It's either the superstar or the inexpensive rookie. The middle class has really kind of been phased out. But those three guys had as much influence on us winning as, of course, Longo. Couldn't do it without Longo, of course. Garza, JB,
Crawford.
absolutely. Carl and BJ and all these guys, absolutely. But the glue, the gel right there that really made it work was those three guys and their impact they had in the clubhouse. That was very, very big and large. That was outstanding. So to me, Wheeler, and I guess I'm talking about a bunch of veterans that came in and taught our younger players, this is how you do it, not like you've been doing it. And that was it. And I like even with the Cubbies, when we got David Ross that offseason in 2015, going to I talked to him on the phone. I parked my car. I was in Tampa. I was in my convertible, and we talked for a while. And I knew this is a difference maker, Mickey Montero, difference maker. So these are the kind of things when you're trying to win, really win. It's the fusion between the superstar, the real established good players, and these youngsters that you absolutely need to instill some a breath of fresh air. But who are the glue guys?
Right.
Don't forget the glue guys. Pay attention there.
I really think that's what the Rays have been missing this year, and most recently they need those Floyd, the Percivals, those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Those are important additions.
Well, with 1 year we had Gabe Kapler. Cap was so big. I remember specifically talking to Gabe. He'd come in my office often, and I said, "Listen, I really need you to do a couple things for me." I said, "Just when something is breaking down a little bit among the players, it's going to work so much better if it's coming from you." So whomever the player was, I said, "Listen, when you get a chance, mosey by the locker. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I think. Then go ahead and put it in your own words and go talk to the fellow." And he was great at it. He was Cap was a great communicator. So another wonderful example of the kind of player you need. Look at the Phillies right now. The Phillies are good because they're just loaded with those guys. They are loaded with charisma, personality. They play it hard. They play it right. And then they're alumni. Bo is around. Crucky's around. Schnitty's around. All these dudes are around. That matters, man. When you have a real strong alumni, that's what the Cubbies had too that I love. Now the Rays, their alumni is scattered more than these other traditionally based groups.
Yeah,
I love the alumni, and I want them back active. I love when they're around.
Yeah, I've said that many times. The Rays don't seem to embrace those guys very much. I'd love to see them do that.
Well, that was one of the first things I asked for. I got Roberto Hernandez to make Davey Martinez when Davey was there. I asked for Davey immediately. He didn't want to do it at first, but I so appreciated the way he played the game, and I wanted him to be there on the coaching staff, and he was. And I had Boggsy around, I had Freddie around, all the dudes came around. Tino came around, but you need them there all the time, not just cameos. So getting those kind of guys in your clubhouse is great. And then the cameo appearances, I misspoke that. I do like the cameos. I do like those guys. Ryan Sandberg. I love Ryan Sandberg. Yeah, do I love Ryan Sandberg? Randy Hundley, Fergie Jenkins, Billy Williams, Billy D, the best. Billy D, I called him Billy D. Billy Williams, I love. So you need that combination of the alumni, and then within your clubhouse, some really guys, some real guys, some grown-ups to say, we don't do that here.
Well, Joe, I appreciate your time. You catch a Springsteen show lately? You still rocking it, bro.
Yeah. I'm going to try to. Yeah, I did. I started out with the Wild in the City Street Shuffle and Greetings from Asbury Park. I'm going to try to get down to see Eddie Vedder in Philadelphia in September. Eddie and I still stay in touch. We become good friends. So that would be the next one I think I'd try to get to. Otherwise, just a lot of golf, a couple personal appearances. I was just down to the All-Star game for a day. But more than anything, golf. I mean, and my home. I'm like, my tomato plants are right there. We're talking about that. I'm really
Can you come back and play here? Can you come back, be my guest here at Palmacia?
Of course.
Please come play with me.
I just joined St. Pete Country Club. I'm a member of St. Pete. They're redoing it, tee box, the greens, and everything in between.
Yeah.
So when I come back down there, I love Palmacia. Yes, I'd be happy. We'll stay in touch. I'd love to do that. No question.
Sounds good. Joe, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And hope you get back into games soon, my friend.
Thank you, buddy.
Get back there.
Hi to everybody back down there. Still one of my favorite places on earth. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I tell you what, this is why I still love this business, is being able to chat with guys like Joe Maddon. I can't wait to spend 5 hours and maybe a few more in the men's grill with Joe, playing golf and just talking baseball and life and everything else, man. Somebody commented on Twitter, it's like, listen to the interview, too much philosophy. You should have asked him about how Stu is following the Miami plan. I'm like, I talk about that every day.
Yeah.
Stu's following Miami plan. I figure we give the people a break. Plus, he's not going to dump directly and overtly on Stu, but I think if you were listening there, you heard him. Yes. Say what the Rays are doing right and what they're doing wrong. I think we got a good mix of that.
We, of course, I was behind the scenes over there helping you with that thing, and I wanted to ask. We ran out of time because that thing went way longer than I thought it would. But I wanted to ask him. You touched on it at the beginning of the interview about him making a possible return, and having to be the right situation, And I was going to mention too. I know him and Bruce Bochy know each other pretty well, and we just got Bruce Bochy here a season ago in the off season. Chris Young, who pitched for him at San Diego, obviously brought him over out of retirement at the age of 68. And I think Maddon and Boch are about a year apart. I think Maddon's a year older. So he's 70 now. But at the age of 68, all he did was come in and win a World Series in his first year. And, I just wonder how appealing that would be to Maddon in the right situation. With the
he would love it. He would love it. And I could think of 6 teams off the top of my head. And I didn't want to mention any teams because he would get mad at me because those guys have jobs right now. We're very respectful of that.
Yeah.
But the Yankees would be one of them. He would win a World Series with the Yankees. I guarantee it. Maybe not the first year, but he'd get that place right. He'd get that place. And I think it would be a perfect place for him because the fans appreciate old school baseball. And the Yankees still have some traditions left. And their manager is a bozo. And so is their general manager. But I would hate it because it's the evil empire.
So is the new owner.
Yeah. I would love it. I would just love it to see him back in baseball. Maybe not with the Yankees, though. That would be a little bit too close for a comfort because I can't. I would have to root for him. So give me another.
You'd have to go see him at the new ballpark and interview him in the visitors' locker room. How'd you like to do that with him wearing a Yankees uniform?
I just threw up in my mouth.
Walk up to him in the visitors' locker room to say, "Great win, Joe. What happened?"
I'm sorry, there were 7 people here to see it. All right. We got to get to Scott Reynolds. So quick break here, and then we hit some bucks, and we're going to come back and talk about the Joe Maddon interview in our second half. You'll also hear from Tristan Wirfs and Todd Bowles. Lots more to come your way. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES Lawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves, great dude and an absolutely terrific attorney. He was named as one of the 10 possible mediators in the FSU ACC case. That's how well respected he is among his peers. So he can also work for you. So if you get in an accident, call him. And just go through the website, JeevesLawGroup.com, JeevesLawGroup.com. Tell him JP sent ya. Back at 3. Stay with us. Get ready to dazzle this summer with the largest jewelry collection at the Gold and Diamond Source. Feel the heat of July with the fiery brilliance of ruby. That's July's birthstone, ruby. Well, that's my birthstone. I'll take one. It's perfect for adding a touch of luxury to your summer style. Embrace the unique beauty and significance of July's gemstone for any occasion, from beach parties to evening soirees, and mark a special 15th anniversary with a stunning ruby, the traditional gem of this very important milestone. And take advantage of our exclusive offer, 5 years of interest-free financing. That means you can own a $5,000 ring or watch or anything and pay only $83 a month with zero interest. And when you shop online, you can enjoy a special summer discount of 15% off July's birthstone. Make this summer unforgettable by visiting the Golden Diamond Source and finding the perfect piece to shine in the sun. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. As we head into summer and hurricane season, you must make sure that your home is fully insured. Over 40% of people in Florida are not fully insured because property rates have gone up lately. Your home is worth more, so it needs to be insured. Call the great folks at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799 to make sure you're fully insured. And also, you might just save some money. There are new companies coming into the state all the time. In fact, we just shopped our homeowners insurance, and I'm telling you, folks, we saved over $550 because Charity, the great customer service at Italiano Insurance, did all the work and found us a better company and a cheaper company. She'll do the same for you. 813-877-7799. Do something about these high rates. Shop them around. Could save you lots of money. It's Italiano Insurance. Been doing business here locally for over 60 years. 813-877-7799. Tell them JP sent you.
Hey, Tampa Bay sports fans. This is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the U.S. Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units, and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez and Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Without further ado, welcome in Scott Reynolds of the Pewter Report. My apologies, Scott. We ran a little late there with the Joe Maddon interview.
No worries.
And I know you don't
Always
like.
forgiven.
I know you're not a huge baseball fan, but you'll love Joe Maddon in that interview. A lot of old school stuff. So please check it out when you get a chance. How are you, partner?
Good. A little bit of a day off today. The Bucks have a night practice tonight.
Yeah.
Which I will not be attending because it's a night practice.
What?
So
I'll be there.
well, okay,
I'll be
good.
there.
Good for you.
Watch. I'm shocked. You must have something way better to do. It's a lot of football. It's a lot of football. You sleep, eat, sleep. Yeah. I'm just glad I didn't have to get up and drive this morning.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. This is my scheduled day off, so we all kind of rotate. So this is my veteran rest day. If you will.
There you go. There you go. Well, let me just open the floor. You've been a week at camp. What are your early thoughts? I think Baker's been fantastic. The camaraderie is outstanding. Yaya is going to be a monster. Sterling Shepard's remarkably good.
It's going to be interesting to see where he fits, right? Yeah. Because he's probably 5 or 6 on the depth chart, and that's a special teams guy. Like, you got to play teams. So he's not factoring in as a return guy. So is a 30-year-old Sterling Shepard going to run down and cover kicks and punts? I don't know. Remember what Todd Bowles said. We're here to find the right 53, not necessarily the best 53, right? So he might be better than Raheem Jarrett. He might be better than Trey Palmer, Might be better than Cameron Johnson as a receiver right now at age 30, but can he play teams, right?
Yeah.
Because we know that he's not better than Jalen McMillan. He's not better than Chris Godwin, and he's certainly not better than Mike Evans, right? So at the very best, he's wide receiver 4. If Trey Palmer keeps dropping these passes, that might factor into it. But I think my biggest takeaway overall so far is just this offense looks very, very, very legitimate. Like this is a legit offense. Credit Todd Bowles, Jason Light for bringing on Liam Cohen. They needed to bring their offense into the 21st century with a modern attack. And you've heard it from some of the players now. I asked when Antoine Winfield Jr. about this the first week. Servastier Dennis said it yesterday.
Yeah.
Hey, this offense actually gets us problems. Hey, this is what we're going to see on Sundays. Hey, this is really preparing us to face other teams because this is what they run. So it's helping the Bucs offense become more explosive, less predictable. And it's also helping the Bucs defense by giving them better looks. So you get the sense that Liam Cohen is on Todd Bowles' level as a play caller. Doesn't have as many years doing it as Todd, so I'm not going to say he's right there. But this is a team that's leveled up over Dave Canales. And I love Dave, and I'm not throwing shade Dave's way. It just he was learning on the job last year, and that's incredibly hard and difficult to do at the NFL level. Liam Cohen has 2 years worth of play calling experience in what I like to call NFL Junior, which is the SEC.
Yep. Love
it or hate it. It's the best conference in football. It just is. And, and that means something. When you're calling plays against the likes of Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Auburn, those schools that talent-wise outmatch you, right? And you're Kentucky. And you got to scheme and be creative and find ways to move the ball and get points. And it doesn't always work out in your favor on the scoreboard, but he is battle tested doing that against really good competition. And so it's one of those things. I remember when John Gruden came in 2002 and seeing Brad Johnson use play action and fake John Lynch and all of a sudden touchdowns were getting scored in Bucs practice. And you're like, what is this? What is this phenomenon where
that's
the
a bunch formation? What is that?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It's kind of like that. It's like, wow, the offense is really holding up.
And I noticed right away, Scotty, it was more professional, and the tempo, even in practice, the tempo was so much quicker. They get to the line, guys are moving, reset, motion. It's a totally different deal.
It is. It's different. And it's effective, and it's catching this Bucs defense off guard. It's keeping them on their toes. So I think that's really been the big takeaway for me offensively is that. Now, defensively, the biggest takeaway is just the team speed. I mean, this defense is faster than the Super Bowl team. And I think the football IQ is leveled up. I think some of the main culprits last year, Devin White, Carlton Davis, Ryan Neal, those three guys have been replaced by guys that maybe aren't like necessarily the better athletes. I mean, that is the case with Zion McCollum over Carlton Davis, but it's the higher football IQ, the fewer mental errors, which they call MEs around one Buccaneer place, fewer busts in coverage. So I think smarter football is something Todd Bowles always craves, and it's now faster and smarter. And so that's a deadly combination on defense. And as you mentioned, Yaya Diaby is just an unblockable monster, and he is still learning. He is still scratching the surface. I mean, we are still years away from the best of Yaya Diaby, but he is a much better version of Yaya Diaby than what we saw last year as a rookie.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I look across the speed of the defensive line, number one, with Kalijah Cansey. Nice to see Geraldini out there working with him, Gerald McCoy, and and it's even I was shocked by watching Vita Vea move the other day. He just the gut is gone. He looks more like Ndamukong Suh used to look, his workout partner.
Correct.
But the way he was moving was in the drills was demonstratively better. And I think he's going to have a huge year and be able to play more, than 35, 40 snaps a game. Right. You can get him up maybe 50, 60 snaps a game.
Yep. And Joe Tryon-Shoyinka has flashed. Greg Gaines has flashed. I mean, Greg Gaines, the backup nose tackle, he's actually been a problem as a pass rusher, which is a little bit of a pleasant surprise. So yeah, I think the athleticism up front is just kind of like off the charts right now. Tyke Smith, he just has that Rondé Barber, Antoine Winfield Jr. vibe about him. There's a little bit of an aura about this guy. He glows on the field. You notice him, and he sneaks in there free on those slot blitzes. He disguises really well. He doesn't tip it off. And you kind of like, I watched Christian Izzian when he comes on blitzes, when he comes in there, he usually gets picked up. He gets picked up by Bucky Irving, gets picked up by Rashad White. I've yet to see Tyke Smith get picked up. He disguises it. And sometimes the disguise is you literally wait like half a second, right? Right. You maybe you take one like half step back and then come full speed. Yeah. And it's those little subtleties to his game, that cerebral type mentality that drew Todd Bowles to him when he was watching Georgia football last year, that makes the difference. Sometimes it's like you're so, itchy to get there. You get that itchy trigger finger and you just shoot the gap, right? You just come right when the ball is snapped. And that little blur, that's an alert to that running back. I got to come and pick him up. And the thing is if you wait for that little half second delay and then shoot your gun and you're on that path to the quarterback, that half second is where the running back scans. Nothing's happening over there. I'm going to turn here, and that's those are the little differences. Coming. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's great coaching at probably the collegiate level and this level as well. Now, I mentioned Baker in the middle, and I've heard some folks say that maybe he had a bad day here and there. I hadn't seen it. I've seen the receivers take some bad paths on plays that might look like bad throws. Yeah. But I think I see a live arm. I see an accurate arm. I see a guy who seems to be very in command of this offense already.
Yes.
And that speaks to how all these guys have been at the OTAs all year long. All this whole offseason is that they've had tremendous participation, even from Mike Evans, who normally is away most of the time, because he wanted to learn the new system, and Tristan wanted to learn the new system. These guys have bought in and are all in, and that you look around the league, that's not what's happening.
No, it's not. And here's the thing. Bucs fans, you want Baker Mayfield to look bad at times because that means your defense is looking good. You want that give and take. You want Baker to throw a couple picks in practice because this defense needs to get its hands on some of those passes and come away with some takeaways. I think that they dropped a lot of interceptions last year that they have to bring in this year. So you want that give and take. And I think that for Baker, it can be a bad period. It can be a bad pass. But I don't think he's going to have a bad day. I don't think that he's got enough chemistry with his receivers. He has enough command of this offense. He has enough confidence right now in everything he's doing that you're not going to see a bad day from Baker Mayfield in terms of an entire practice where it's just going to be a downward spiral. You're going to see a couple bad plays. And like he had some obvious miscommunication with the receiver, and he literally threw the ball. And there wasn't anybody within 15 yards of that pass except for Zion McCollum, who came down with the pick, right?
Right.
And that's what you want to see.
You got to have it.
You have to have it. So I'm with you. I think Baker is off to a very good start. And just this team just seems to be very singular minded. They seem to be all rowing in the right direction, all rowing in the same direction, very much focused. There is a mission at hand here for this Buccaneer team. And I may have told you at practice the other day, it's like, this is my 29th year doing it. I'm kind of over training camp at this time. I'm just being honest, right? It's hot. I'm 52, although I dropped some weight. So thank you, Dr. Lugo. I feel
you look good, man. You look good.
Feel like I can handle the heat better with me losing 10 pounds over the summer. But having said that, what I mean by I'm not looking forward to training camp is I love when the pads come on. Yesterday was really fun, but the first 3 days of training camp historically is the ramp up, the acclimation period. It's 3 more days of OTAs. It's 3 more days of flag football and 2-hand touch and all that. The difference is, and I didn't expect this, the intensity was ramped up from Wednesday's practice on. And that really kind of caught me off guard because I was kind of expecting a ramp up in terms of attitude and intensity, getting to pads. I've seen that before. And honestly, that was what happened last year.
Yeah.
First 3 days were kind of like mistakes and heat and all that stuff. This team is in very good shape. They're very much like-minded, and they all brought it collectively on Wednesday's practice. And Wednesday's practice, you would probably assume by the level of competitiveness out there and the intensity level that they were in pads, and that wasn't the case. And there was no drop off on Thursday, and there was no drop off on Friday. So this team right now is different and better than it was a year ago, and that was obvious to see even without pads.
Yeah, you mentioned the intensity level. I also like the attention to detail as well. I remember last year, especially offensively, there was a lot of lull time. They'd make mistakes. You can't really hear what's going on out there a lot, but nobody was turning tables over or anything like that. It seemed to be a lot of mistakes were kind of tolerated. And maybe that's because they were learning a new system and whatever. I just don't see that. First of all, I don't see mistakes.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Right.
And second of all, I just see it's up tempo, it's detail oriented, it's just more crisp.
It is. And I tell you, the coaches make a huge difference. And I think this is kind of the untold story so far. These assistant coaches that Todd Bowles has added this year, and Liam Cohen has added, because Todd gives Liam the ability as the offensive coordinator to have autonomy to bring in some guys that he wants.
Smart.
And I think they've leveled up across the board. Skip Pete is a holdover because he's a very good running backs coach. I mean, he worked wonders with Rachaad White last year. And then you look at the 11 guys on the field. You talk about mistakes. A lot of mistakes happen on the offensive line. Why? Because there's 5 of them. There's only 11 guys in the field. 5 of them are from one unit. That's the offensive line. And we've seen very few mistakes from this offensive line. And the reason for that is because Kevin Carberry coached with Liam Cohen at LA.
Yeah.
And Brian Picucci, the assistant offensive line coach, coached with Liam Cohen at Kentucky. So both of these guys are familiar, like ins and outs and everything, about this LA Rams style attack. And so they come here not having to be taught the system, taught the playbook by Liam Cohen. They come in knowing it. So you hit the ground running. And then that allows them to teach the players even more quickly, because their head's not swimming in the playbook and the terminology because they already know it, right? Yeah. So I think it starts there. Then you bring in Brian McClendon from Georgia, the receivers coach. This guy is probably one of the most accomplished guys on the roster. He is just, whether it's a running backs coach in college or a receivers coach, his track record speaks for itself. He is legit. He is like the Raheem Morris on the coaching staff. He is the PJ Fleck on the coaching staff. He is the guy that when he coaches, you're like, who's that guy? Who's that coach? And that's why you're seeing Jalen McMillan make a seamless transition from Washington to Tampa Bay so quickly. They upgraded the tight end coach, nothing against John Van Dam. He's more of a passing game kind of guy. Mm-hmm. They needed some help with the technical technique and the run blocking ability. So they brought in Justin Peel, who's got experience doing that. He played in the league a long time.
Right. Yeah.
And so you look at all of those different coaches on this offensive coaching staff, they're some of the best at what they do. And it's showing right away.
Yeah, that's a great point. And speaking of offensive line, and I asked Luke Gedeke about this, and we kind of delved into it in his interview the other day. This new spread offense, so to speak, to keep it in simple terms, where they're 3 wide as your base. It just, and you can see bigger splits. I hated the small splits that they ran last year. It just closes everything down in the run game. So they have bigger splits between the lines,
and you're working against yourself.
Oh my God. And it gives you angles as a back in my offensive tackles day. I remembered this. It gives you angles to work. And if you have good, athletic, strong guys that are, and Graham Barton is one of those.
Yes.
It gives you so many better angles, and the eye candy makes the defense have to worry about all 53 yards, and not like last year when the running game was compressed about 15 yards wide.
Right.
And he just was beaming and smiling and talking about how much easier it is and how they're gashing runs.
Yeah.
And this is what I think is going to be the biggest eye opener for fans when we start seeing it from the above level, this running game. There's just going to be so much more space for these guys to run.
Yeah. And also more plays. Right.
Yes.
And so that's
not just off tackle up the middle.
Right.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Mid zone, wide zone, gap with pullers, duo. I mean, there's a lot that encompasses this Liam Cohen running game. And the thing too is is they can run the same play at a different formations, different personnel groupings. So you never know what's coming. And they try to win the numbers game, right? And it's like you always want to win the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at some of what the Rams have done in years past, and with those three receivers out wide, it automatically creates a lighter box, right? And the thing is if a team cheats and says we're not going to be fooled by this, you're trying to lighten the box for an interior run, and they shade a safety over or a linebacker over more inside that tackle box, then you can just expect a toss right to the numbers and in a perimeter run then. So there's a lot that Liam Cohen can do with this running game. It's more diverse simply because there's more runs in it, and more runs mean less predictability. And that's a good thing because the Bucs running game, whether it was with Byron Leftwich or quite frankly, Dave Canales, was too predictable at times.
Yeah, no.
Scott, with more runs comes more clock time because less stoppage.
Yeah.
Have you heard it? Because again, admittedly, one of Bowles' biggest deficiencies, if you want to call it that, last season was his seemingly lack of ability to call timeouts and use things like that at the end of halves and at the end of games to maybe steal a possession or two. Is there anything that you can see or that you can feel that they're looking at to change that, to practice that, to hire a guy to help him or something? I mean, it seems like an important aspect of the offense you might want to consider.
You would think, but no. I've had a conversation about that with Todd Bowles that was off the record. I really can't get into it, but no.
That's fine.
I don't envision that changing because I think there is a stubbornness about the man when it comes to those things that is not going to change. So prepare for the madness to continue.
Well, it's fun to write about, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yes. It's I can understand. All right, I'll share like a little bit because I don't think Coach would mind. There is a, like, for example, there's no reason to call a timeout to avoid a delay of game penalty because there's no reason to have a delay of game penalty. You shouldn't have a delay of game. You just shouldn't, right? It's just like, you shouldn't line up off sides, right? Those are mental errors that Todd Bowles simply will not tolerate. He's not going to bail you out for that. So he'll take the 5-yard penalty. He's just not going to do that. The other thing too is this isn't basketball. He's not going to call a timeout to, all right, they're on a 10-2 run. We got to settle things down here. He's not going to do that. That's just not his MO. I do think that Todd needs to get a better handle on some clock management strategy and leave enough time for his offense. And I think sometimes there are some junctures prior to the 2-minute warning where he probably should have a little bit more foresight and say, we're at the 3:30 mark here, and I need to call a timeout before this third down because it's 3rd and long. They're going to pass the ball. There is a chance that this could be an incompletion on 3rd and 13, right? So I need to take a chance and call the timeout here to make sure we're in the right defense. So A, they don't get the first down on this 3rd and 13. And number 2, there's a chance this is going to be an incomplete pass, which is going to steal us a timeout. It's going to essentially give us the timeout I just took back. And they're going to kick the ball. And then we're going to have approximately, a minute before the 2-minute warning, there's another stoppage right there, right? So it's little things like that where I think Todd would sit there and let the clock run down, right? And now they're snapping the ball with, 2:45 and, and they throw the ball. And let's say it's 12 yards and they're bringing out the punt team and all of a sudden the clock's winding down. Then he says, well, we'll wait till the 2-minute warning, right? And then what has happened sometimes is then they get off the good punt. It's back to the 10-yard line. So the only thing right now that's even feasible is a field goal drive because now it's you throw like the little 10-yard pass. Now you're at the 30. Now here's the 2-minute warning, right? Now you've got 70 yards to go for a touchdown right before halftime, and you might have one timeout plus the 2-minute warning. So unless you get the big break, you're setting yourself up for the field goal. Whereas if Todd Bowles in this little fictional scenario just created, if he had called that timeout at 3:30, there's an incomplete pass instead of a completed pass. Now you're getting the ball and you have, call it, say 3:25 left. Plus you have the 2-minute warning and maybe the timeout in your pocket. It's more feasible to have an 80-yard drive with more than 2 minutes left than at the 2-minute warning or less. So I think those are some things that Todd needs to kind of grasp hold of. And you know what? Maybe having Liam Cohen and smart guys like Josh Grizzard, the passing game coordinator.
Yes.
Maybe in some of these preseason instances, they will get on the headset and help him along with some of those decisions.
Most teams have a clock management coach or assistant or somebody that's in charge
Todd
of that.
does. I don't know that like the communication works. I think Todd probably mutes that person.
Well, but that goes to when you're
not plugged in.
When you're
oh, you want me? I didn't hear you. Like
when you're
my headset wasn't working right. I didn't hear you when you were trying to tell me to call timeout.
When your head coach is a play caller, that figures into it as well. I mean, there's a lot more on his plate, and this is a reason why I think Doug Peterson is trying to decide whether he's going to be calling plays this year, because there's so much going on now for head coaches. I mean, back in the day before challenges, remember when we didn't have challenges, boys?
Right.
It was a football game. But, head coaches didn't have to worry about that stuff. They were, now there's so many more things that they have to worry about and get input in. Yeah. And I also think that, and again, no disrespect to Dave Canales, but I think Todd Bowles would have a little bit more respect, may not be the correct word, but for Liam Cohen, who's been there and done that in high pressure situations at Kentucky and with the Rams.
Correct.
And okay, if if Liam comes on and says, "Hey man, it's 1:30 left. It's 3rd and 13. Be a nice time to use a timeout here on defense. Give me a little bit more time." And he would, I think that would be okay. Yeah. All right, let's go.
And I think in instances where maybe that doesn't happen, Liam talks to Todd during the week and said that doesn't happen again, maybe, right? I think there will be some of that, because again, it feels like the relationship between Todd and Liam is more peer-to-peer this year than it was with Todd and Dave last year. And I think Todd had to do some things and kind of treat the offense with kid gloves a little bit, because, he knew that there was, some, I'm using this term like in the golf term, please don't take offense, but like there were some handicaps that were put in place with the lack of experience of the play caller, right? And that's only natural, and that's to be accepted. And I'm not damning Dave for that or anything like that, but I think that was part of it. And so I believe, I think too, the sense I get from talking to Todd Bowles is, if you see what happens when he has a lead, go back to that Packers game, go back to the Jacksonville game on Christmas Eve, go back to the Eagles game. When he has a lead, the whole playbook opens up and he can unleash holy hellfire on quarterbacks, because there's so many things he can do. And he can take more chances when you got a 7 or 10 point lead. But when the game is tied, or you're up 3, or you're down 3, or you're down 7, especially with an inexperienced play caller on the other side, to where if he takes a calculated risk and it backfires, and all of a sudden that 3-point lead for the other team turns into a 10-point lead, now Todd's thinking, man, now I put more pressure on Dave to have to get us back from a 10-point lead here in the third quarter and try to win the game. Whereas with Liam Cohen, I think you're going to see more leads by this Buccaneer team. I think you're going to see the Bucs offense maybe score a touchdown on the first opening drive. And if that happens, look out, because Todd Bowles' defense is going to be even much more effective when he has a full arsenal of plays and pressure packages, exotic disguised coverages that he can throw at quarterbacks, rather than having to play it safe and conservative sometimes. The funny thing is, Todd Bowles has this knack for being a conservative guy. He is not by heart. I know. If you look at the number of times he blitzes are not conservative plays. They are risky plays, and he wants to do that a lot.
And but he's confident in his play calling.
Yes.
I don't think he's been as confident in his game management.
Yes.
But as we've seen, this is a whole different Todd Bowles this year. We're dropping guys need to be drug tested jokes.
Yep.
I mean, he's so much more comfortable in his skin this year. And I think that leads to more confident coaching. I really do. This is his team now. How he acquired the team is always going to be weird. And I can't wait for the 30 and 30 on that. Because we all know what happened. Yeah. But this is really his team now, and he's got the gravitas, I think, to be a little bit more confident, and it's showing. I love it. Love it.
Well, and my final point is Liam Cohen wanted to be here, and the Bucs wanted Liam Cohen.
Yeah.
Dave Canales was the only choice the Bucks had last year, and it worked out. It worked out really well. I mean,
as good as
Dave
you could hope.
Yeah, was not a failure here in Tampa. He got a head coaching job after 1 year of being a play caller. So good for you, Dave. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what it did is it got this team into the plus side of the win column with a 9-8 record. They won the division again. They won a home playoff game in grand style, 32-9 against a team that had drubbed them back in week 3.
Right. Yeah.
And they went toe-to-toe with the Lions into the fourth quarter on the road in the most hostile environments probably of all last year in the playoffs. So what that did was that allowed Todd Bowles to be off the hot seat, off the dead man walking list. And it opened up more coaches that wanted to say, hey, I want to be a part of this. Wow, Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I want to coach this guy. 4,000-yard season, Pro Bowl, 28 touchdowns. Yeah, I want to be a part of that. And so it opened up the coaching pool for them to choose from. And I thought they picked the right guy in Liam Cohen.
I think they did. All right, my friend. Thank you for your time and your flexibility.
Yep.
Please promote all the great stuff coming on Pewter Report this week.
Yep, pewterreport.com. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. We have podcasts tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week at 4 o'clock. Forget what day it is. Training camp. And you can also follow us on social media at Pewter Report. That's on X, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right, partner. Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate it. We will we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back on the other side. We'll discuss what Scotty just said. We'll hit some of that. We got your comments. We always do comments at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. I love some of the stuff you guys are putting in there. Please add to it during the break. And we'll get did you see the one comment we had?
Which one? I saw a bunch of them. Oh, yeah, from Ken. How about that?
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, thanks, Ken. So we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll get him on the show.
That'd be great. Somebody call in.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that. Love your work. All right. We're also brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. You hear Scott mention Chris Lugo, his primary care physician, mine as well. We got to get Tim on board with the televisits there. If you're looking to lose weight, get your testosterone right, get your nutrition right, get your workouts right, he will develop a personal plan just for you with all his expertise. It really, really works, folks. So get yourself in great shape, get your immune system boosted naturally. And that's with Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Back at 3.
You're listening to The Strike. 102.5 WHPT, HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at rogersparkgolf.net. That's rogersparkgolf.net. See you there.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we roll through here. Thanks so much to the folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. Their summer sale is on. Their 40th anniversary sale is on. And July is Ruby, the month of Ruby birthstone, which is my own. So they have some beautiful ruby and diamond bracelets and necklaces. If you're looking for that, we're a friend in the July birthday zone. So head on over to the Gold and Diamond Source and get the best prices, the best staff, great folks over there, great local business. And we love championing our local businesses. Got another new one coming on board. Cafe Paradiso, my good friend Paolini and his wonderful traditional Italian restaurant will be joining us next week. So Tim Ham, when you come to Tampa, I will take you over there. And
you love me some Italian food.
Oh, and it is the best. It is so good.
So I have a Gold and Diamond Source question for you.
Yes, sir.
How do you know? Maybe it's not that question for them, but more for the masses. How do you know which girl to buy the jewelry for?
I don't think that's a question for their staff, actually.
Like, how do I know which one to give it to? Like, that's always confusing.
You have so many options like yourself, Tim. It is tough. It is tough. There's no question about that. And I think Julie would give you this answer: all of them.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Why do we have to pick one?
What about the ones I don't really like? Like, I don't want to waste money on them more than I have to already.
That might be a conversation of a different type for you, my friend. So, but I
do get dating advice, by the way, on the Colby Sapp and IndyCar Tim Show. You're on FanStream Sports, so just come to me. Come to me. Mondays and Wednesdays.
What really? Okay. What kind of questions are we fielding these days? I think
like
we should incorporate that on this show as well.
You know, things like, should I propose or should I break up? And it just depends on what she does for you. And usually it's break up. Marriage is never the right answer, except for JP.
He said a guy married, what? How many times? 4 times you've been married? Well, you would know.
3. I know a lot about marriage. I've been married 3 times.
Yeah, 0 for 3 is, of course, your advice is going to be marriage is never the answer.
Never.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so as we go to comments here, Ken Rosenthal joining the show.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the best baseball insiders ever, enjoying our conversation with Joe Maddon, which I thought was fascinating. And that some of you guys commented on it as well. Get to some of there we go. Give me that conversation. Ashley said she didn't like the comments music for some reason.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we can do different music.
What was that elevator music you guys were playing? I was like, that's comments music.
What about this?
Definitely not.
No, see, I like our other stuff better.
I kind of like it. Yeah. It's got that, Curb Your Enthusiasm feel.
Yeah, right.
Let's get to Snarky Rick. Any truth JP and Peter left show early to head over to Spaceship on Dale Mabry? Maybe again after the night practice. Any place with air conditioning.
You went to shower, didn't y'all?
It was there were some technical issues going on behind the scenes, but there are also some technical issues going on with my head. I mean, seriously, we were out there in the sun. There was no cover whatsoever, which we were definitely going to. It is a lot to it. There's a lot to it, but 2001 is definitely not part of the equation. Ken spying for Stu? Why would he do that? Are you kidding me? No. So a couple things that I loved about the Joe interview, and you said we're talking about the glue guys of the 2008 team, the Detroit Percivals, and so interesting. So many of the things he said about baseball are very analogous to what's going on in our country as well. Yeah. It's like there's no middle class anymore. There's no middle class. It's either the superstar elite player or the rookie who makes nothing. And I'm like, yeah, and that's a lot about. Although the Rays don't have the superstars, but they don't have a lot of glue guys. They just don't have a lot of glue guys. And by the way, did you see what Zach Eflin said? I was going to try to get that sound for you, maybe have it later in the show. But he basically said he was asked about pitching in Baltimore yesterday. He was like, yeah, it was great. The crowd is great to have a full house and a young, energetic team that wants to win. And a lot of people got pissed off about that statement. And I'm like, wow, now we're getting mad at a guy that doesn't like to pitch in an empty stadium in a dysfunctional clubhouse. And I do think this is being revealed. This is a very dysfunctional clubhouse, and it needed to be. I'm not saying the players that were shipped out were the problem. What I'm saying is it was dysfunctional, and when it's dysfunctional, you need to change it. And I think Eric Neander has done the best he can given his constraints. You see how the Braves did it yesterday? Brought back Jorge Soler.
Oh, yeah.
Who makes what? $13 million a year. This is the thing the Rays will never do. And you heard Joe say, I always wonder why you just don't augment with those good young players. Instead of getting rid of them or the older players, why don't you augment with better players? Well, gee, that seems like a very interesting idea. Maybe you could even win a World Series by augmenting instead of subtracting Charlie Morton. Wow, that's interesting. And this is the problem with the Rays' way of doing business is they never get to the next step. They never get to the step where they're finishing off the team. The 2020 Rays were right there knocking on the door, winning a World Series until we pulled Blake Snell. And instead of augmenting that, you go and you take one of the key pieces away, Charlie Morton, because you won't spend $15 million. I mean, it's just – and that will always be the absolute signature moment and signature sign of how this franchise operates. It's the most obvious thing you could possibly do if you're really interested in winning a World Series. You would never subtract a pitcher like Charlie Morton for $15 million. But that's exactly why the Rays were never, ever serious. I mean, there's a gazillion clues, but if you ever want to argue this is it. And while everybody can sit there and argue all they want about, you had to get rid of these guys, I said it. You needed to be sellers. But I would expect you'd get more prospects back and more major league prospects back. Not 12 guys that are in low, in A ball that, if you're lucky, 3 of those guys reach the major leagues. If you're really lucky, one of them is a superstar or a star of any way or makes an all-star team. And you're trading away all-stars to get back a lot of guys that will never be all-stars. Even if they ever make the major leagues. That's what the numbers tell us. So it's all about money, and they'll package those guys because they don't have to put them on the major league roster, and they'll maybe go get some other good cheap players that they can bring up to the major league level. I get that part of it. But Joe also said this. He said, they know what they're doing. Sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's going to be okay. And be okay by, you'll win some more regular season games. But until you take that next step and you bring back a Soler who makes real money, and you bring back players that make real money, and the reason they're getting paid is because they can hit not just in the regular season, when nobody's on base and hit a solo home run and make their stats look good. They can hit, in the bottom of the ninth in game 3 of the World Series, against a high leverage arm or a great starting pitcher. And you're a Bryce Harper and you're knocking it out of the ball yard. Those are the guys that's why they cost money. Right. And if you want to play in the big leagues, get in the freaking big leagues. And this ownership group is never going to do that. unfortunately. So
I've got Eflin audio if you want to listen to some of that.
Oh yeah, all right, let's listen.
I accidentally got Zach Efron audio, and then I realized that probably wasn't the one you wanted.
Well, that could be good too, actually.
We're excited.
Becoming
Just
a great
grateful for the
comedian.
opportunity. I've heard nothing but incredible things about this locker room, and obviously playing against them the past year and a half. It's just you see the youth and how much the guys care about each other and how hard they play. It's something that we've always admired over in Tampa. So it's really exciting to be in this position and be able to play with these guys.
With all the rumors that were swirling, were you kind of braced for a trade no matter where it was?
I was fully prepared. I kind of knew something was going to go down. Really all dependent on how we played the past couple weeks in Tampa. But I was kept in the loop about everything, something that I really respect with the Rays organization. They kept me in the loop about what was going to happen and whatnot, and ended up in a great landing spot.
What are you hoping to bring to this Orioles rotation?
Hopefully consistency, health, being able to pitch deep into games, feed off each other, learn from as many guys as possible, and just be as much of a competitor as I can be.
Obviously, you've been able to sink the ball there in 2020. How much did that elevate your career and kind of change your trajectory of what you could do in the mound?
Yeah, I've always loved my sinker, and at times I've shied away from it. But it's been such a huge pitch for me, whether it be double play situations or weak contact situations, setting up hitters in different counts. It's something that I love throwing the sinker. I love, backdooring it, front hipping it, kind of moving all over with it.
You've been able to keep the walks down a lot. I mean, what do you feel has kind of been the key to that?
I honestly just hate walks. I hate giving people a free pass. I feel like I'm not a competitor when I do that. And with that being said, I think there is still room for me to expand a little more and be able to work outside the strike zone a little bit more. But really just comes down to I don't like giving in to guys and letting them just take first base.
You're gonna pitch tomorrow, a day after you get here for the first time. Is it good to have one day to sort of acclimate yourself to the clubhouse, to the dugout, to your teammates before jumping in?
Absolutely. Just being able to meet everyone and get to know the staff and get on the same page, pitchability wise and what we're trying to do and execution and everything is going to be huge. I think it'd be a little weird if I just showed up and pitched without knowing anybody. So it's nice to see some familiar faces with Mountcastle, Cole Irvin. Played like 5 years with Sir Anthony Dominguez. So it's been nice being able to see those guys again and obviously meet all the other guys.
Yeah, so that was before he pitched, and then after he pitched, he was like, "Yeah, this was amazing." And again, people are getting pissed about it, and I and it's not. I don't think it's a cheap shot. I think it just goes to show you that a lot of guys are frustrated playing in Tampa Bay. Not Tampa.
And players notice things like that when they go to another. Yeah,
and I don't think it's not lost on me that this Orioles team looks a lot like the Rays teams of the past. They got a good blend of youth and some experience, which again costs money. And as Michael LaRue pointed out here very astutely, only the A's have a lower payroll than the Rays. The Rays currently have $46 million committed for next year. Will they spend what they saved this offseason? Have they ever? No. They don't put the money back into the team. As we saw the other day on that graphic that I've been telling you about forever, they spend percentage-wise less than anybody in baseball of their revenues. $200+ million in revenues more than they spend on players. So anyone who tells you that the Rays have no money is either lying or doesn't understand the dynamics. And they definitely understand the dynamics. They know what the numbers are.
Look, baseball economics are a complicated thing.
Yes. Do you know how much money they have to spend on marketing? Yeah. You know how much the air conditioning costs at Tropicana Field? You know how much rent they pay? Oh yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Do the math, people. The air conditioning bill ain't $200 million. And I know there's minor league expenses. There's a lot of other things, but look at the other teams in the league. Nobody spends less percentage-wise than the Rays. They could spend $175 million on payroll and still have 125 at least left over for all the other stuff. And like they do a lot of marketing, please. No, they do a little, but not $200 million worth. A lot of that money is going into his pocket as deferred compensation. That's one of the reasons in the lawsuit, if you ever read it, one of the big things is ex-partners wanted to know was, what are you paying yourself? What are you paying Matt Silverman? What are you paying Brian? What are you paying all these guys?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us? No, We're not telling you. Why not? Because they're making more than the players. That's why. And that won't sit very well with the players, allegedly. And that's why that case was settled. They weren't ever going to have any of that, as I told you. And I was shocked that it was settled. I was shocked. I was told that they were not going to settle. So that check had to be really, really big that he had to cut to those for that settlement. And I mean really, really big. And I think it was Major League Baseball who said cut the freaking check because it certainly wasn't him, in my opinion. So it's such a mess. You know, we should never have to be talking about any of this stuff in terms of ownership. Never. We should never be doubting the motives of the owner. You know, we should never have to be talking about this. We don't have to do that with the Glazers. We don't have to do that with the Vinicks, you know, and most, I can think of maybe one or two, Fisher in Oakland, maybe the Pirates ownership. And it's not something the fans should be talking about. It should be a given that anybody who owns a franchise should be treating it as a hobby and somewhere where, from a financial standpoint, you're putting all of the resources back into the team. And that has definitely not been the case. It's provable. It's 1,000% provable. And it's just, that's what's sad about me. I don't care if Stu makes money. Good for him. You know, good for him. But to me, it's when it comes at the cost of the baseball fans and where the stadium is located and where, you know, how much money is spent on the team, this is where the fans are getting shorted. I have nothing personal against Stu. Good God, I'm glad you made billions of dollars, dude. Fantastic. Good for you. But, you know, that at the expense of the team, no, that's not cool. And that's all I'm talking about is just baseball. I'm not talking about anything personal. I'm just talking about baseball. And I think the fans have had enough. They've had enough, I think. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, some of them are still showing up, so maybe not.
Yeah, it said it's all about money, JP, and the minority owners who sued Stu showed their true colors. Yeah, but it was a big check. It was everybody's got a price, right? George G said they offered Judge the money. Oh, come on, dude. They are judicial on where they take long-term investments and wander situations going to only further enforce this. Dude, come on, Jordan. You're smarter than that. You're smarter than that. They if they, quote, offered it, they knew he wasn't going to take it. It was 25% below the market value, number one.
They might have offered it, but they weren't going to pay it.
Exactly. Dude, they're just doing that to make you think they're serious. Oh, and they're in on Freddie Freeman. Shut up. Ohtani, the Razor. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not serious about any of it. I mean, come on, people. Jordan, you're better than that. You're better than that. Christopher Cole said Moneyball didn't work anymore. Yeah, I think you're right.
No, I think Moneyball still works.
Yeah,
but the point of Moneyball is you got to have wins. Look, if Tampa Bay was 10 games up in the East right now, nobody would care what their payroll was.
Right.
That's the whole point of Moneyball. You spend the money wisely. You don't have to spend a lot. But, you know, I mean, look at the A's.
I think Stu has been privately spending the money on Olympic skateboarding. He's got a fetish. He's got a fetish for skateboarding. USA got 2 medals. He's making St. Pete and the USA proud. So back off, JP. Okay. Oh. All right. We're going to take a quick break. TJ is waiting in the wings. We're going to get one more quick break in here, and we're going to talk with TJ Reeves about all things Buccaneers. I bet he has some takes on the Joe Maddon interview and the Olympics. I know he's a big Olympics guy too. So quick break. TJ Reeves coming with that back in 3. Stay with us.
Hey, Tampa Bay sports fans. This is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle. like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
Get ready to dazzle this summer with the largest jewelry collection at the Gold and Diamond Source. Feel the heat of July with the fiery brilliance of ruby. That's July's birthstone, ruby. Well, that's my birthstone. I'll take one. It's perfect for adding a touch of luxury to your summer style. Embrace the unique beauty and significance of July's gemstone for any occasion, from beach parties to evening soirees, and mark a special 15th anniversary with a stunning ruby, the traditional gem of this very important milestone. And take advantage of our exclusive offer, 5 years of interest-free financing. That means you can own a $5,000 ring or watch or anything and pay only $83 a month with zero interest. And when you shop online, you can enjoy a special summer discount of 15% off July's birthstone. Make this summer unforgettable by visiting the Golden Diamond Source and finding the perfect piece to shine in the sun. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. As we head into summer and hurricane season, you must make sure that your home is fully insured. Over 40% of people in Florida are not fully insured because property rates have gone up lately. Your home is worth more, so it needs to be insured. Call the great folks at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799 to make sure you're fully insured. And also, you might just save some money. There are new companies coming into the state all the time. In fact, we just shopped our homeowners insurance, and I'm telling you, folks, we saved over $550 because Charity, the great customer service at Italiano Insurance, did all the work and found us a better company and a cheaper company. She'll do the same for you. 813-877-7799. Do something about these high rates. Shop them around. Could save you lots of money. It's Italiano Insurance. Been doing business here locally for over 60 years. 813-877-7799. Tell them JP sent you. Are you looking for an honest AC and plumbing company? I mean, that's like trying to find a humble Saints fan, right? Well, try my friends at Third Generation AC and Plumbing Services. Been in business since 1995 here locally. And listen to what one of their customers said. Quote, the gentleman providing the service was exceptional, on time, knowledgeable, professional, and experienced. He was efficient, cleaned up behind himself, and did the work expeditiously. He not only repaired a sink, he repaired our toilet that was constantly running. We have used this company several times. They are awesome. Says it all, folks. Testimonials really say it all. Call 813-961-8024 for honest, fast service. 813-961-8024 or thirdgenerationplumbing.com. We also do AC.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Third Generation Plumbing. You just heard the spot right there. So if your AC goes out and you're like, oh, I need somebody here right away, and you know you can trust them, it's thirdgenerationplumbing.com. Go to the website, contact them through there, and have them come on over and take care of it. Hopefully you just need your drain cleaned out or your pipes cleaned, and they'll do that with great speed and alacrity, as we like to say. All right, let's welcome in our good friend, Bucs sideline guy, the great TJ Reeves, getting ready to do some preseason games, get back on the neck of word. Gene Deckerhoff coming back for his 5,000th year of calling Buccaneers football.
Number 36 for him.
36.
Number 19 for me on the sideline. Oh. How about that?
Wow, I'm not even 19 years old.
They can't find anybody better, apparently, even though they've, probably been trying. Yeah, at this point. Listen, good to be with you on all fronts. I will try to come with alacrity here on the program.
The sideline tryouts like.
Well, believe me, there were many years in that role where with some of the people you were having to deal with for the pregame show, for the halftime interview, I'm running from you, I'm not going to talk to you, to the post-game show where I'm not going to answer anything.
Talking about
that, it's better when you deal with professionals that get it. And so I love the current group and the fact. Hey, and might there be a little correlation to having success when you're dealing with professionals that get it on and off the field and understand what everybody else is trying to do?
Funny how that works. How that works.
Very true. So I'm here at your service for anything Buccaneers. I do have to say kudos to JP because I was doing some stuff online earlier this morning and I saw the tweet about the trade deadline and the one-liner you got off. My thought was they're auctioning off everything but the furniture inside the clubhouse. However, you got off the better one on social media that they're trading everything and everybody for a bag of balls or an Esteban Yan bobblehead. And I did get an LOL on that one because I do remember, I don't have the Esteban Yan bobblehead, but I do remember they had a bobblehead, I think, for him.
I originally was going with Steve Cox because for some reason I had, old first baseman, remember?
Right.
Remember great
Paul Sorrento. I mean, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with you. Quentin McCracken. With whatever you need. And while we digress, a quick Esteban Yan story. I still remember this was
Esteban gone.
Esteban gone. And here comes, you teed it up for me and I'm gonna hit it for you. This was either the first year or the second year that they're playing the Yankees, and the Yankees were in the throes of being the dynasty Yankees, where they had already won the World Series in 96, and I think they had already won it again in 98, 2 times in 3 years, and they were about to win it again in 99 and 2000, but this was probably the 99 second season. So that Yankee team has Jeter, and it has Bernie Williams, and I want to say it had Darryl Strawberry on
or is he still in Seattle?
Tino might have been on the team, might not have, but Darryl Strawberry was on the team for the game that I'm on.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were just loaded. All right. So the Trop was 75% Yankee fans. There's 20,000 Yankee fans because they're winning the World Series. There's maybe 25,000 Yankee fans. So anyway, they're clobbering the Rays in this game. They're beating them like 7-1, 8-1. My father and I are there sitting in the seats. We bought tickets. We paid to park. We're over there. There's obnoxious Yankee fans all around us. So anyway, the Yankees load the bases up. And I say to my father, this is not good. We need to get out of here. It's already like 7 or 8-1. And so we start making our way because of where we had parked. We start making our way like from the left field line inside bowl of the stadium, trying to get to where we could exit and go to park while Esteban Yan is warming up. And I still remember this. He's getting ready, obviously. He's getting ready to face Scott Brocious with the bases loaded. Not a household name, but Brocious, one of those years, Brocious went on a tear and was a great player in the playoffs as an infielder. Timmy, you speaking my language on Scott Brocious, late 90s, early 2000s?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Yan is warming up, throwing like 98 on the gun because they're showing it on the center field's, radar gun. And I'm walking with my father, and we would like walk and stand until the St. Pete cop or the usher or whoever would say, you got to move. You got to keep walking while he's warming up. And we're walking. And I kid you not, they announce now batting infielder Scott Brocious. And he steps up. We've made our way around home plate. We've made our way now to the third base side. I said third base earlier. First base side for the Rays. We've wrapped around to the third base side to go out that way to the concourse to the exit. The first pitch, JP Peterson, to Scott Brocious is annihilated like 430 feet over the left field, almost off the back wall in left field. And I mean, it erupts around us like Yankee Stadium to make the game like 12-1. I can practically hear John Sterling up above. It is high. It is far. It is a grand slam, or whatever he's yelling. And Esteban Yan is still standing. I still visualize this, hands on his hips, looking in the outfield like, that went a long way.
To make it land.
Did it land at Ferg's across the street? I don't know if it landed at Ferg's or in at Albert Whitted Airport if they picked it up on the radar. I will just always remember when you said Esteban Yan, that moment. I mean, he saved some games, and he wasn't a bad guy.
No.
I obviously forever.
He would give up the longest home runs because he'd throw like 98, but it would be
straight and right down the middle. Down the middle. And Scott Brocious hit a ball that came down about 15 minutes ago. And I just thought I would share that with
Thomas
you.
hit one off Esteban gone.
Yes.
And I swear I was in a suite on down the third base side, and so I dropped that in there. And it went like it was going up, and it went over the C ring. It went over the C ring, like over the C ring, and it was still going up. And I think it landed above the party deck. Like it was that thing,
which is easily 450 feet on the angle from home plate, easily. Right,
you know where it was going, and that was the legend of Esteban Gone. He was a legend. He could give up some.
So you prompted me. I don't know the last time that I've ever said that or talked about that story, but you just prompted me. I want to say that's the 98 season where it may have been 99 where they were going for the third and 4 years, but he hit a grand slam. And we were gone. Esteban gone, and we were gone. So,
when Brocious, he was a World Series MVP for the Yankees.
I believe that
years, right?
And that might have been
98.
Might have been 98 or 99 that he was that year.
Yeah.
So a little, and I don't know who else they're going to trade or what else they have left, but you brought up the point, and I've delved into this. It's one thing if you're getting outstanding major league ready prospects and stuff for the future. I mean, they are going deep into the single A weeds, just hoping that out of like 10 of these guys, 3 or 4 of them can be big league players, like 30% or 40%. So I don't know with the salary dump. I mean, it's clearly a salary dump. It's clearly we don't want to pay these guys the rest of the year because we're going to be a wild card team that basically gets bounced out. And
they're saving about, I think, 12 to 15 million this year, just at the end of the season, the last 2 months. So that's a nice little savings. And then their payroll is set at, I think, 45, so about 55 million off of next year's payroll, which is
45 million already gone.
Yeah, and there's the obligatory. Well, we're going to put that. We're going to go out and get some free agents. We're going to go get Aaron Judge.
Right.
We're going to, like last year, like we were in it on Aaron Judge. No, you weren't. They're not paying until they do. Until they sign a high-priced free agent, a legitimate high. I'm going to sit here and say they are never going to do it under this ownership group. And I think that's fair to say.
They haven't done it, and I think that's fair.
You've had 15 years. You have never done it.
And I get the fact that you've gotten some gems doing this in the past.
Yeah.
But if you basically deplete the entire roster, don't you have to come up with like 4 or 5 gems for the 2025 and 2026 seasons to make this work? So, and I realize you got Junior Caminero coming, and I heard Steve Carney on with you talking about that. That's great. That's a guy. You need to have 2 or 3 others. You need to have 2 or 3 other pitchers, and Taj Bradley looks good, and you've got him under control, but in terms of years and salary.
I mean, I see a positive way out of this. I really do. And
in what year? In what season? Like 27? Do I have to wait a new ownership group? Do I have to wait till 28 to see the positive way out of it?
You might, if we have the same ownership group. Yeah. And if we do, and then you think that stadium's getting done on time?
Look,
I don't even think it's getting done at all.
I want them to do well.
I do too.
But by the same token, you bring up the valid points of when are you going to spend and compete, and there's nothing in these agreements that say he has to put the money that he's getting back into the salary structure and back into the team to make it more competitive. There's no obligation for that.
Dude, you can't even get him to agree to actually guarantee the affordable housing.
Right.
You think they're going to guarantee a payroll?
Right.
No.
And Major League Baseball won't make him do it. Even though, did I not see correctly, and we'll move on, but did I not see correctly that he pocketed more of the revenue sharing money than any other team in terms of not putting it back into the roster, into the payroll?
Yes. Yeah.
And so
the graph that came out the other day was something I've been saying for years. The percentage of revenue. So Forbes suggests that they make over 300 billion. They're usually about 25% low. They're very conservative in their estimates when teams get sold. So that's an empirical number I can tell you about. So they're usually about 25% low in their estimation. So they estimate the Rays make 301 million. I think it's probably closer to 350. But their payroll is on the, this year close to 100 million. You're looking at $250 million, which would be close to the most in baseball, if not the most.
And the clear thing is to be clear on this is a large part of that is the other teams are having to pay them to give them money. And the premise was to keep these other teams competitive, you put that money back into your payroll to compete. That if you are being given $100 million in revenue sharing and a larger amount and a larger percentage, that is with the understanding you are now trying to compete with that money and play with the Red Sox, the Braves, the Dodgers, and all of those.
Which is why the Players Union constantly files grievances against the Rays, because they don't do that. And they know what the numbers are because they're supposed to know. Anyway,
so there you go.
Sounds like Stu's pulling a Dan Snyder and not releasing all of his numbers and putting it back where he should, right? Like, remember that.
Well, but again, baseball is different than the NFL and the NBA in that they do not have a cap and they do not have a floor under the salary agreement that says you are going to spend this.
Yeah.
And in particular, if we're giving you $100 million or more a year in revenue sharing, that isn't money that you made, that you earned, that we're sharing for you to put into your product, that's a larger baseball problem. But there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not 100. I mean, we don't know what the number is, but the only reports we've ever gotten, it's closer to 40 to 50 to 60 million going up. But they also get central fund revenue, which is probably close to 75, maybe 100 million. So before they sell a ticket,
which is like profit sharing, right?
That's MLB, MLB.com, MLB Network,
merchandise,
all the other stuff
They profit share.
Yeah, so they make it so every time these people say needed to be a payroll reconciliation because they spent too much at the beginning of the year, this is what they have to do. That is a complete hogwash. It's not. They don't have to do it. They have tons of money. They just choose not to spend it, and that's why the fans are frustrated. And that's why we talk about it. All right, let's go. Where do you want to go? You want to go?
You want to go Buccaneers? You want to go Olympics? What do you want to do? It's your world.
We talked a lot of Buccaneers today, and I know that you're not spending a lot of time out there.
I was out there Sunday. You and I did not get to chat Sunday, but I was out there Sunday, and
what'd you pick up?
From what we could see, there were some impressive things. I mean, Jalen McMillan is somebody that has got people interested in. I mean, he's pushing Trey Palmer. He's going to work for playing time. Obviously, out there, Godwin and Evans are the two safe guys, but you're wondering, all right, who is the other receiver? And I don't know that it's going to be him right away, because it's one thing to be out there in training camp practices. It's something totally different to know where you're supposed to be in games. How well do you play special teams, et cetera? But that's a guy showing up. I'm with you. You look at Graham Barton, and it looks like he looks like stud offensive lineman. You talk about look the part.
Yeah.
And so
the way
they're sharing the first team reps for now with he and Robert Hainsey, but we know what that reality is. They want Barton to win the job and be the starting center for this team. And I know Luke Gedicke was talking on Sunday about continuity, about having cohesiveness with the five guys. You've already got a new left guard, and I guess that's a quasi battle there too.
Bredeson's been running a lot of first team.
So I saw that. I got a chance to speak to Levante David after things were over with. My line to him was, you haven't found anything better to do with your Julys than be out here in this heat. And he goes, one more go around. He wants to go through all of this with training camp. So I'm excited to see, what they look like as we progress towards the preseason. And they got the night practice tonight. You were out there for the padded practice yesterday, and they got the night practice tonight, and we're progressing to the first preseason game.
Yeah, the padded practice, where you start to see some of the linemen doing one-on-ones, and you want to look at the Graham Bartons, when they fire off, are they moving people? And he's moving people. He's so smooth and big and fast with his get off, and his technique is fantastic. So you see that right away. Chris Braswell is another one that looks
sure. We'll talk about Braswell in a second, and the defense in a second. But Barton, we should keep pointing out, because I was talking to people that I was around. He was a left tackle last year at Duke, so he's really showing his versatility. That he had been a center before that in high school and at Duke, but he was playing left tackle, JP, as you know, in the ACC last year, and now he's sliding back into the middle, and that position is such a critical position with protection changes, line calls. I mean, it's vital that everybody's on the same page and understands. And sometimes, and this, and here again, this for a rookie is going to be different. Robert Hainsey can testify to this from the beginning of last year when he's playing in Minnesota in a dome and in New Orleans in a dome, when you can't hear anybody. You're having to use a look, you're having to use a hand signal. Nobody can hear anybody when you're trying to change a play or change a protection. And so Barton's going to have to get used to that because, sorry, there's not been an environment, a domed environment for sure in the ACC where you've had to worry about that. You've got to get ready for that in the NFL. And then over on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned Braswell coming in where all the competition is, pass rushing with Diaby and with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, JTS, who is slimmer, and this is a prove-it year for him. Can he deliver in a prove-it year, or else it's already clear? We saw this movie with Devin White last year. If you don't deliver in the prove-it year, they're going to say goodbye. They're going to let you test free agency. But Braswell fits in there also as an outside rusher, and I thought it was interesting. Kalijah Cansey talked to us on Sunday, and I thought he was very candid with, hey, I not only had the injury, but I really couldn't practice full bore, even though that we were playing until basically November of last year. Yeah. That all through training camp, being sat out, and then trying to come along slowly and play in the games. He's like, I couldn't basically all out practice until the thing was fully healed in November. And so he's anxious with the full off season and the full buildup to see what he looks like next to Vita Vea. So again, there's a lot of optimism. The one thing I will keep saying to you and everywhere that I'm doing these interviews, you hope that it's not the opposite of a year ago where this team was disregarded, counted out. They're going to be awful. They're only going to win 2 or 3 games, salary cap strapped. Baker Mayfield will melt down. You're going to have a bad season. And they absolutely shut everybody up and overperformed. We all saw that. Okay, well, now
that's happening again.
Now there's expectation. Now the belief is you're a playoff contending team. You're a division contending team.
I think most of Vegas has us at 77.5 most places. You might find an 8.5 some places, but mostly 7.5. I think every national team, national pundit, save Mike Florio, has dumped on the Bucs. I think the Falcons are the darlings, and that's just where you want to be.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that they are the favorites, and there's a lot of praise going on for them. And we got plenty of time to be talking about this. Is Kirk Cousins even going to be the quarterback for that Thursday night game when we get ready to play Atlanta, or is Michael Penix already going to go to Michael Penix at that point with what they invited in terms of their controversy? So, we'll see.
All due respect to Ra, and we love Ra. First-year coaches have issues. Now, his situation's a little different. I think we can all say the Falcons got a pretty damn good roster. And a lot of us felt that they were just a quarterback away, and now they, quote, have a quarterback. So that math kind of seems to work, but you're still bringing in a new system, new offensive coordinator, new head coach, new quarterback. New doesn't win in this league.
Right.
New does not win in this league.
Not always.
Wins, not always.
Sean McVay was an exception. He showed up with his staff and the same personnel, and they went to the Super Bowl. They went to the playoffs, and they went to the Super Bowl his second year. But they were leading the league in offense. So the new coaching staff in that instance with the same personnel and with Jared Goff made a difference. But you're right. By and large, knew everything. But the only thing is he was the interim coach. He was there for a while in Atlanta. They should have obviously, in hindsight, given him the job. Instead, they opened it up and gave it to Arthur Smith, which the Bucs said, "Thank you very much on that. We'll take that." And then he by his own admission learned a lot from McVay, being out there as the defensive coordinator and going to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So I have much love for Raheem Morris as well.
Eventually, I think that works. But right now, I think the Bucs are a better team, and I think they have more continuity within their organization. Obviously, there's a new OC coming in, but same head coach, same quarterback, same targets for the most part. You got any Olympic thoughts? Are you watching the Olympics?
So, they're amped in the other room because right now, as we do this live, the gymnastics is about to be on live.
Yes.
And my crew has been up in the morning watching this, which is saying something to get the teenagers up in the summertime in the Eastern time zone to watch some of this while it's live. And good on NBC that they've had a lot of it live on their channel or on the USA Network live during the day. No more of this ridiculous, let's force feed you to pay for the $9.95 or $14.95 app to watch anything that's live. Meanwhile, we're going to tape delay everything. You used to live this when you were working on Channel 8. Let's tape delay everything to prime time that's been over with for 10 hours.
And I can't run it on my 6 o'clock sportscast.
Yes.
I got to put the graphic up,
You can't even run it. You were working for the NBC affiliate, and the only thing you could do was show like a still photo. I remember that on the newscast. I'm like, what planet are we on that the internet doesn't have it everywhere already? Who won? That social media now doesn't have it everywhere. Who won? So good on them that they're showing it live, but they're pumped for the ladies gymnastics that's going on. We've got the men's basketball, very interesting. We were kind of joking about this.
South Sudan tomorrow.
South Sudan is the real deal. Interesting. They're taking it seriously. Obviously, they know how close they were to losing in an exhibition, albeit an exhibition. Obviously, Kevin Durant didn't play in that exhibition. So this will be fascinating because it's still group play. It's not the knockout round. I did not remember this. The U.S. team lost the first game of the Tokyo 2021 in group play back 3 years ago. So if they were to lose a group game, it's not the end of the world that they lost a group game. Now it becomes bigger when you're in the medal knockout round because then you don't get a medal or you don't get a gold
this year.
So you don't think they are?
No, I think the competition.
They sent. You saw that Sunday, right? I know you were at training camp Sunday. They sent a real message against a good Serbian team that has Jokic.
Kevin Durant got hot. He got hot, and we'll see if that continues. I hate that. I feel like I'm rooting against them, but
seems like you are.
Maybe you are.
Seems like you are just by that comment.
I mean, I am. I'm openly rooting against them.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm fascinated to watch it all unfold. And I realize there's politics and ideology and whatever else that's involved big time with them. I did think it was fascinating that Dawn Staley was at least finally honest, if I can get it out. Dawn Staley was honest on Sunday when she was asked about Caitlin Clark, where she basically admitted, yeah, Caitlin Clark should be on the team. We should have given it a little more time and seen what she could do and then put her on the team. Because
I missed that. She actually admitted
she
that?
basically, yes, is what she said. And Dawn, again, is the general manager, essentially, or one of the figurehead general managers. The Minnesota Lynx coach is the coach. But what she basically said was we had to make the decision when we made it. She hadn't proven anything yet in the WNBA. We've made the decision to primarily go with the WNBA stars. Now, I'm paraphrasing. Now, in hindsight, it's obvious she's one of the premier players in our league.
Duh.
And, no kidding that they should have her there.
Good for Dawn Staley.
But then again, I mean, look, Dawn Staley won 2 Olympic golds, I believe it is, as a player, or 3, and then 1 as a coach, or it's 2 as a player and 2 as a coach. So she knows this whole process as a player and as a coach. So I get that. And they haven't lost a game in this century with what they're doing. So tough to argue with that success. But my only point with that was, and still is, there would be 2 or 3 million more people, maybe more, watching if Caitlin Clark is there, even if she's not playing very much in the game, which is what we've all been talking about. You want interest. You want interest in all of this.
Well, especially when you're growing the game. When you're growing the game, you have an opportunity to embrace your LeBron. And can you imagine LeBron coming to the NBA and the whole league being so jealous as to say, screw that kid.
We're not going to put him on the team. No, it's idiotic. It's idiotic. And by the way, the Europeans love basketball, and they're very aware of who she is because of all the attention the last 2 years. And so, it was a mistake. It's a fumble by them for a myriad of reasons: envy, jealousy, politics, what we've done before, politics, all the above. But she should be there. But anyway, we'll watch all of this unfold. The track is coming up, etc. I'm interested in that. We've got the swimming.
Yeah.
I'm big on the obscure. I love the rugby.
Get the women's rugby, bro.
I love the field hockey that I was watching yesterday, which again, they don't have a review. They call it, or a challenge. They call it a referral. Now, I don't know about you. I didn't get many referrals in school. Timmy, I don't know about referrals, but referral usually meant you got to go to the office and be dealt with by the assistant principal or the principal. But they call it a referral for the review, and you only get 1 referral per game in field hockey. First of all, they're playing on a field that's long enough and wide enough to be like a mall parking lot that you're trying to cover with the field height. And plus, the surface is the same as a mall parking lot that you would fall on and get the strawberries or the raspberries on the knee or the elbow. And they're out there playing on this. No helmets, no pads, no, except for the goalie. The goalie has got pads on like they're ready to invade a country.
I think my favorite
field
story,
hockey is
though,
interesting. Yeah.
My favorite story now is we're running up against, we got to get this in. The river of poo.
Yes.
They can't do the
sin.
triathlon because of the river of poo.
Because it's unsanitary.
I read there's too much E. coli. And I read there's an American, Seth Ryder, an American triathlon, who literally has been training by not washing his hands
in dysentery.
So he can build up his E. coli immune
resistance.
system. I shiz you not.
You shiz me not.
I
love
building
this.
Up his E. coli.
So some of they're talking about. Okay, so they're talking about this was supposed to happen today, and it may or may not happen tomorrow. And some of the athletes are saying we are willing to take the risk.
Yes,
we're willing to take the risk. But I would have to know.
Ever.
I would have to know, am I dying soon or am I dying in my later years from this?
They've been practicing their whole life. The dude's like, I have not done that much swimming practice so I could do a biathlon. We're getting in the freaking water.
Right.
And
it needs to be a triathlon.
And not only that, but they spent $1.5 billion with a B so they could do this in the River Seine, the Poop River.
Yeah,
and then they say, it rained 2 days, so we're gonna. It's not
we
gonna
have
work.
more high levels,
$1.5 billion solution,
more toxicity.
Yeah. They've been dumping poo in that river since the 1500s.
They closed it in 1923 to any inhabitants whatsoever. Like you couldn't stop. And now suddenly we're going to. The Olympics are coming. Let's clean up the river. With a $1.5 billion tank.
And the whole thing has gone to
brilliant engineering here.
That's a good one right there.
We have that brilliant engineers figures out the
JP. Senor JP, Monsieur JP, the whole thing has gone. The whole thing has gone to shizzle at this point. Yes, so it's not good for the triathlon. So we'll see. But I'm gonna be into this. I'm gonna be into whether they run that, the judo, the archery, the obscure sports that we never care about. We care about now in the Olympics.
So good on them. We'll keep watching. We're the two most famous athletes that we have because they don't get enough run.
But what was that all
about?
By the way,
Coco had a meltdown today.
It's standing out on the front of the boat in the pouring down rain to be the flag bearer. It's not exactly the same thing. And you're right. Coco Gauff, again, where are the highlights of this? She had a complete meltdown in the second set of her.
The entire stadium was booing her because she went up
and in tears
about a bad call.
About a bad call in the second set.
Come on, move on. Move on.
All right. So the Olympics, Buccaneers, anybody else traded in the last half hour by the Rays for the Esteban Yan bobblehead?
I don't know, but hopefully they got it back.
I'm always great to be with you whenever you need me.
Thank you, brother. You're the best.
Be well. Happy Tuesday. Happy night practice for the Buccaneers. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye,
thank
TJ.
You, all right. Thank you, Tim. As always, great job by you. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Ken Rosenthal did. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate you as well.
Yep.
We'll be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. I'll be out at the night practice tonight, so check our social media at FanstreamJP. Follow my new Twitter at the JP Peterson Show, and also like and subscribe. I'll be doing some social media work after the practice tonight to tell you what went down. So check us out then. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace. F you, F you, F you, and F you. Peace out. I'm going to go out and get us.